Brian Fonseca joins us now. And Brian, I welcome you in, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about this Nets Celtics game that we watched tonight. What a debacle for the Brooklyn Nets. When you saw this game and watched it and go final, what were your initial thoughts?
Great game for Nick Claxton's Defensive Player of the Year case. Um, just allowing about 140. Here's the thing. It's one thing to get blown out. Because for whatever reason, it feels like blowouts are more frequent in the NBA now. I know there was a study about this at some point last year. It was 30-7. It was 41-13. It was 82 to like 50. Like there was no point in this game. This game had no redeeming quality at all. And it's just one game sample size. But Brooklyn slipping since the Kevin Durant injury, which we expect because this is what happens when you have a top heavy roster and you face probably the best team in the league at this point in the season. So not like it's a one game sample size, but not a good one, especially a week out from the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at halftime, getting up 79 points, how are you as a Nets fan happy about that? I understand it's the best team in the East, but like you got to show up a little bit more than that on defensive side, getting up 79 points.
Yeah, it's giving up 75 points in the first half.
79,
And
almost 80,
79,
almost
that's
80
right.
points.
Yeah, almost 80, which, I mean, look, to be fair, I mean, it's happening league wide at this point. I mean, for whatever reason, like, I just think the rules have skewed too much toward offense at this point. So we're seeing more teams get to 120, 130, averaging 120 with these. But look, like, if we're being real here, the Nets are 4-7 since the Kevin Durant injury. And on top of that, can you count on him to be healthy for the rest of the season? Can you also count on Kyrie Irving's health? Because this is the thing about like the elephant in the room regarding this Kyrie Irving situation. Something always happens every single year, and the thing has already happened, but the injury hasn't happened. And that tends to happen if you look at the history of his career. He has not finished because of injury 4 of the last 8 seasons of his career. 3 of the last 5, if you want to narrow it down even further. And the injury hasn't happened yet. And you're, again, a top-heavy roster who, look, it's nice that Nick Claxton, who didn't really have a great game tonight, but nice that he has been able to break out, maybe a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, although he has some stiff competition because I don't think he's better than Bam or Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brook Lopez or Giannis or Jared Allen, but he's up there, right? But if you're looking at this top-heavy roster, this is what you need to address at the trade deadline. And the problem that this Nets team is going to have is they need size, shooting, and defense all in one player. Guess who else needs that? Everybody that they're competing with. The Bucks, the Heat, they're all looking at OG Anunoby, Kyle Kuzma, Jay Crowder, some even Mo Bamba, etc. So, you know, the answers are there, but it's going to be tough to get to there if you're the Brooklyn Nets.
And you talked about top heavy roster and Kyrie Irving. Obviously, Kyrie Irving is looking for a new contract this offseason, and that's going to be a big part of him trying to stay healthy the rest of this year. My question to you is cause for concern. How much concern is there for this Nets team going 4-7 now since KD's injury? And let's just say KD comes back healthy. Can they stack up with the rest of this East when it comes to the Celtics, who they just played tonight? The 76ers aren't going anywhere, and the Milwaukee Bucks. And you mentioned the Miami Heat as well. How do they stack up when fully healthy?
I still think they're a tier 2 team in the Eastern Conference, which is really good, right? At their peak, right? But I feel like they're more flawed than some of the people that they're in that tier with. Tier 1 is the Celtics and the Bucks. I'd still put the Bucks there, even though I'm not super confident about them either. That's kind of more of a resume history thing, and you know they can kind of turn it on. But I think they have some things to address because their depth has not been great this season. I think the Celtics are it'd be probably more fair to say the Celtics are 1 and the Bucks are 1A. But then after that, you have the Nets, Sixers, and Cavs, and the Heat were kind of like 2A to me, and the Heat are in that tier now. The way they've been playing lately, they've been healthy, and they're absolutely going to make a move at the trade deadline. I don't know of what magnitude that's going to be. That's sort of the question because they don't have a lot to play with. Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, maybe if they trade him, they might not. Dwayne Dedman, not a lot of picks, but these are the teams that the Nets are going to be running into. And by the way, the Atlanta Hawks, they're not a cakewalk, right? The New York Knicks, these are the tier 3 teams. Those aren't easy teams. Like the Knicks are feisty. They're very, very spirited. Now, with two guys who could be in the All-Star game, I think only one will get in. I think it should be Jalen Brunson, but Julius Randle absolutely has a case. And with the Nets, as good as they've been defensively as of late, I still think they're really flawed on that end of the floor when it comes to a playoff setting, and that's something they're going to have to address.
Let's say Ben Simmons comes back. Let's say KD comes back healthy. Could they come out of the East when all is said and done this
No,
season?
I don't see it. But I'm probably the wrong person to ask because, like, I am a Ben Simmons atheist. I'm not an actual atheist, but I'm a Ben Simmons atheist. And I just don't I just don't see it. I didn't see it when he was at LSU, and I didn't see it when he was in Philly in terms of being one of those dudes in the playoffs, because he's never shown the ability to do that. You can go look at some of those Sixers games when they were in the playoffs, and people will bring up, oh, he had some good moments against the Heat one year and the Nets another. When they played the Raptors in that Eastern Conference semifinals, that Sixers team that people were very much high on, go look at particularly their fourth quarter numbers. It was all Jimmy Butler. Joel Embiid was playing through like flu, and he was hurt, and he always gets hurt around that time of the year, which sucks because Joel Embiid's awesome. Tobias Harris, was kind of like, he was kind of there, kind of wasn't. He was Tobias Harris, no disrespect. JJ Redick was fine, but he's not the guy that you're depending on to really carry you in that instance. And Ben Simmons was just nowhere to be found in a lot of instances, right? And that sort of magnifies the playoff experience of like the roller coaster that we've been on with Ben Simmons. And we all know what happened in the Hawks series that eventually led to him coming to Brooklyn. So I just don't think like there's going to be enough unless there's a seismic move. I'm still skeptical of Kyrie Irving's health going forward. Like, let's see if he holds up. If he does, that would be remarkable for them, because I think they could compete with damn near anyone in the Eastern Conference with the healthy Kevin Durant and potentially a healthy Kyrie Irving. But I still think they need to fortify that roster with somebody else, because when you look at their roster, they have 4 guys, and not to bring up counting stats, right? Because I like some of the advanced numbers as well, but you have 4 guys averaging double figures, just 4. And one of them is Seth Curry, who's barely above 10 points a game, right? Nick Claxton, thankfully, he's broken out. Otherwise, who knows where they'd be. So they got to do 1 or 2 things at the trade deadline to really fortify their roster, because right now, your closing lineup in playoff games would be Seth Curry, Kyrie Irving, Royce O'Neal, Kevin Durant, and Nick Claxton. Is that good enough to close out a series against the Celtics, the Bucks, the Heat, the Sixers, and potentially the Cavs? I'm not sure.
Not sure either on my side. I mean, tonight was not a good showing for them, obviously. And I know a lot of Nets fans are going to be hoping Kevin Durant comes back real soon. Brian, I appreciate you, man, breaking this all down for us, and hope you have a good one, man.
Absolutely. Anytime.